Hey everybody, it's Mark, Dr. Deadwax. I just recorded this and it didn't save, so I'm doing it again. Today is day 14 of the inbox challenge, and the numbers today were picked by DMBB1239 Dustin. So thanks, Dustin, for picking the numbers and playing along. Today's beer is the always wonderful Creemore Springs Kellerbier, probably my favorite beer. So cheers, everybody. Let's hope this one saves. First up, I didn't quite finish last night. I'd been to a 6-hour listening session at a friend's house, and there was no way I wasn't going to go because he's got like a $200,000 analog front end. It's absolutely glorious. It's an hour's driving too, so I had to come home after that. I mean, whoa, poor me, and then clean and listen to 5 records. So I didn't quite. I glossed over the Colin Walcott, and I didn't quite finish. This is a white label promo. And this is from the Polydor period of distribution of the ECM label in the United States. I think the Polydor records sound amazing. So if you can find the Polydor ECMs, I say go for them. I like them more than the Master Disc Robert Ludwig ECMs, which came with when the next distributor came along. And I bought this off eBay for like $8. So you can get fantastic near mint white label promo ECMs off eBay. So they're out there and they're reasonable. Excuse me. Next up is Jane Siberry's The Walking. This is a masterpiece. This is a Canadian masterpiece. This is an overlooked gem. This is just the most wonderful record. I would put this in my top 10 probably of Canadian records. And this is Jane Siberry's grossly overlooked. You know, lots of people just hate her, or lots of people like her, but they don't like this record. This record is kind of, well, she's kind of classified. I followed her since like almost the beginning. I missed her first record when I was like 14. She came out with like a singer-songwriter folk acoustic-y kind of one called Polo, but I caught the next one where she kind of went into like synth pop. Meet Me on the Beach was the big single off that. That was No Borders Here, and then she came out with the Spectral Sky or something like that, and then she came out with this. This is art pop, some people are calling it when you look at it online. I would almost call it like synth prog. There's like one song on this record under 6 minutes. There's a song over 10 minutes. There's a song over 9 minutes. There's a whole bunch of songs over 6 minutes. Another one that's 7. You know, she's doing things that are not commercial on this record. They're not commercially accessible. She's really pushing the boundaries. And I think she's really pushing it with her record company too. This version didn't come with the lyric sheet, but even the lyric sheet in this thing is incredible. There's like a song on here where she sings in like 5 different voices. So there's like soliloquies and little alternate voices she's singing in the background, and even the way the lyrics are all printed out across the page are like art. And it's like poetry. The music is interesting. Kind of offbeat. Just, you take the quirkiness that if you know Jane Siberry, you take the quirkiness that you know about her, and then you just kind of go with, this is her first record for Reprise, and I think they just let her go. I think she'd had the 2 others, and she'd had hit songs off her, and I think they just let her do whatever the hell she wanted. And she really came up with the best record of her career, and probably the least accessible record to a lot of people. But I gotta say, you gotta, check this out. You can go online and check this out. You can go online and download it for free. I don't think her website currently has this record for free, but she has been doing Pay It Forward online for 5 or 6 years now, where you just go down and take whatever you want. I think she has her past 3 records for free available from her website. But it cycles around. And there's other places online where you can download this record for free legally, not illegally, like totally with her permission. I don't know what else to say about this record. One of these days I'm just going to do like a 20-minute video on this record and talk about everything that there is about it. But I'd say it's a bit of a breakup album. The Lobby is my favorite song from her, and that's definitely a breakup song, and it's very sad and dark and very beautiful. Means a lot to me personally. She means a lot to me personally. I've communicated with her off and on via email and stuff for like the past decade. I'm not going to pretend that we're friends, but you know, we've sent messages back several times, and after I had my stroke, she gave me free tickets. She was the first concert I saw. She gave me free tickets to see her show. It was general admission. She held seats in the front for me, and she gave me like a package of vinyl all wrapped in a ribbon and everything. It was really nice of her. And it was like the first thing I'd done outside of the home and the hospital, so it means a lot to me. Just, this is a record, also, this is a record you can get for $1 anywhere. I buy every copy I see. I probably have, did I say this already? I don't know what I've said, because I did this already, but I probably have 10 of these in the inbox. I've probably bought 35 copies of this over the years and given away 25 of them. You can buy this off Discogs for $2, $3. Like, it's criminal how cheap this record is. This record should be like a $20 record. This record should be coveted by everybody. Everybody should be singing this record's praises like I am now. In the Deadwax's Master Disc, Direct Metal Master DMM AV. AV stands for Andy Van Det, who started working at Master Disc in 1984 as an intern, and this record came out in 1987. So this is, you know, probably one of the earlier pressings of mastering jobs of Andy's career that he got to sign his name to. And Andy's still at Master Disc today, mastering vinyl. Next, Lee Konitz meets Wayne Marsh again, recorded at Ronnie Scott's, London, May 24th, 1976. And when you turn it over, you get Wayne Marsh meets Lee Konitz again, with Lee Konitz alto sax, Wayne Marsh tenor sax, Peter Ind bass, and Al Levitt drums. This is released on PA Music, PA USA. It's not a white label promo, it's just a white label. It's kind of unusual to see a white label that's not a white label promo. Now the Lee Konitz meets Wayne Marsh again kind of is referring to, there's a classic standard jazz record called Lee Konitz meets Wayne Marsh that was recorded in the late 50s, I think, and it's just a giant of a record, and so this is kind of playing on that idea. And the record used to be worth a fortune. It'd be like it was like a $300 jazz record a few years ago until it was re-released on 180 gram vinyl recently, and now you can buy Black Label Atlantics for $35-40 on eBay. So now you can get a classic, you can get an original of that. I don't know, $35-40 or $25 for the repress. I'd be going for the original for sure. Musically, cool jazz, bop, post bop. Pretty straightforward, pretty straight ahead jazz. The two of them really push each other a lot on this. They really kind of bring out the best. This is an excellent, excellent record. You can get this on eBay for like $9. I paid like $6 for that at a store locally. Next is Simon and Garfunkel Bookends. This is a Canadian stereo pressing. And you can tell it's Canadian because it's got special bonus full color poster included printed on the jacket. I believe the US pressing has a hype sticker with that on it. I do believe the record came with a poster in the States as well, but I think it was done with a hype sticker and not. This is a gorgeous, perfect copy I found in a box of free records. Ever played? Look at this. I don't think this record was ever played. It is absolutely perfect. So I showed the Birds record a couple days ago, and I said the way that you could tell that it was a Canadian pressing over the U.S. pressing was that it didn't have the 360 sound mono on the bottom. On that one, you could tell it was a mono just by the catalog number, the CL catalog number. Whereas in the U.S. pressing, you could have also told it was a mono because it would have said mono where this one says stereo. But the Canadian one then didn't have that on it. Now, this now has 360 sound and stereo on it as a Canadian pressing, and this is 2 years later. That was 1966, this is 1968. Now, all of these records, the Birds and this one, were actually pressed in the United States. And they would put these labels on for Canada, and then I think they'd ship the records up here and package them in the dust jackets up here in Canada, because the jackets say printed in Canada, or this one does somewhere. Anyway, however, this record in the United States, where it says stereo, that's in white font. So that's the way to tell a Canadian and a US pressing. The stereo won't be in black, it will be in white. What else? The dead wax on this is XSM118887 1G and XSM118888 1J. And that is the dead wax for the Canadian pressing. There are several instances online where people have given the dead wax for this record, and that is what the Canadian pressing is. Now, if you switch the 1G and the 1J stampers, the sides around, that's the US pressing, so it's kind of interesting. Also, the stampers on this record are, the matrix numbers are written in hand, written by hand. Now, if they're written with like a typewriter font, like a machine stamp, handwritten is from Hollywood, machine stamp is from New York City. So if you have a Columbia record with a machine stamp on it, excuse me, the lacquers, the masters were cut in New York City. If you have a Columbia record with handwritten stampers, the lacquers were written in Hollywood, or were cut in Hollywood, California. So this is a Hollywood cut stamper that was manufactured in the United States with labels on it that say it was made in Canada, or the labels say printed in Canada, and then this was shipped up to Canada, assembled, and then sold to us as a Canadian record. Musically, side one is like a concept. It's like a concept album, side one, or a concept side. It's like a suite, the Bookends suite. It's bookended by the songs Bookends, and it flows through life with songs about like a mother and her child, and then America's on here, which yes, do the fantastic cover of that I've blathered on about before. So America, and then there's like an excerpt of like old people talking in a retirement home somewhere, saying, you know, you don't want to be old and poor, which is, you know, what everybody says. And then so that's kind of like a concept. And then side two is songs that were rejected by the people who made The Graduate, except for Mrs. Robinson. Mrs. Robinson's on here. So it's a pretty good record. The side one concept's, it's quite well done. It's got like Moog on it, and it's got some sampling. It's kind of edgy for Simon and Garfunkel. I don't know if that side might be pushing them about as far as they ever went. And all in all, musically, it's really good. Next up is Brand X, and this one is called Product. And Brand X were like this fusion band. They were put together by a guy, the A&R guy. I think that stands for Artist and Repertoire Guy at a label. And when they were going into the studio, before they were just like recording stuff way back in the beginning, he was reserving studio time for them just by writing Brand X on the book, in the books, and the Brand X name stuck. So that's where the name comes from. Third or fourth record Phil Collins was on the first record and the second record, then he wasn't on the third, and then he was on this and the next one. So they'd had some success. Then he wasn't with them for one album because he had to be out with Genesis on the road, and it's always been a band that people rotated in and out of. And they did like, let's say fusion. Let's call it pop fusion. Not to denigrate it at all, but it's not Miles Davis Bitches Brew fusion. Okay, it's not that kind of fusion, but it's still really good. It's not like horrible fusion like Yellow Jackets or something. So let's call it pop fusion and say that that's a good term, okay? By this point, though, the label wanted them to become more accessible. And some guys in the group were okay with that, and some guys weren't. And so the label wanted like commercial success for them, and they wanted commercial songs. And some guys thought, if we do commercial stuff, we're going to alienate our core audience. We're not going to gain anybody. We're just going to piss people off. So they booked time in a studio that was in John Lennon's old house, which was then owned by Ringo Starr, and they booked the band in 2 shifts. So there was a shift recording for an 8-hour block during part of the day, and then during overnight there was another band recording an 8-hour block. So there was like a Phil Collins band which was doing the commercial stuff, and then there was the band of like 2 or 3 of the guys that had been here before. So there's actually like Phil Collins, John Goodsell, Mike Clark, John Giblin, Robin Lumley, Percy Jones, Peter Robinson, and Morris Peart. So like there's these 2, let's say 2 camps of Brand X in the studio. And so the Phil Collins side, they did a couple commercial songs, including 2 songs in which Phil sings lyrics on, including the first song he ever sang on outside of Genesis. And the 2 songs that are those are Don't Make Waves and Soho, and they were released as singles. And they're mediocre. Okay? Let's be fair. The rest of this, the other instrumental pieces that the Collins camp did, and the instrumental pieces that the other camp did are fantastic. They're just that great pop fusion, slightly smooth. They're excellent. And these sessions, they recorded enough songs for 2 albums. So there's this record, and then the next one all came from the same dates. This is on the Canadian Blue Charisma label. And in the Dead Wax is SNB, and as I've discussed in other videos recently, SNB stands for Sabine Brunet, and he was a mastering engineer, but since this is 1979, by this point he wouldn't have mastered this. Somebody in his company would, and the SNB is just the signature for his company. This is a good record, and overlook the 2 songs that are mediocre but still listenable, and the rest of it's fantastic. So some really good records today from Dustin's Numbers. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, and have a great day. Keep the records